What's up, working people? It's the Working Man Money Mark, sharing my 2 cents. Hopefully, it makes sense. It's Friday, end of the week, weekday wind down, having a drink. Cheers to you guys. Um, Hopefully, you earned that drink. All right, so today I want to talk about credit cards in particular. I'm not going to get into the types of credit cards and all of that. I just want to get the basic concept of building your credit through credit cards. Now, I'm going to say this right now. This only works if you're disciplined and consistent in your payments, in your spending habits. Okay. Let's be honest. I mean, some of you guys probably shouldn't even have credit cards. I'm going to be honest with you. Um, it's like everything in life, man. If you want to be in shape, you got to be disciplined and consistent with your workouts and your eating habits. Credit cards are no different. All right. Um, you have to have good spending habits and you have to be disciplined. I know that this is not going to work for the vast majority of you. I get it. But if you could get disciplined in that regard, I mean, you could benefit tremendously from the credit cards. Okay. So, why even do the credit card thing to begin with? Well, the reason is primarily your FICO and your Vantage score, because that's what lenders are going to look at when they determine your credit worthiness for a mortgage, for instance, or for an auto loan, or for a business loan in a lot of cases, right? Your credit is probably one of the most important things that you need to develop if you want financial freedom. And the reason I chose to do this video today is because I think it's a good follow-up to the video that I did last week. So let's get right into it. The first thing is, look at the credit cards that you have right now. Right off the bat, the interest rates right now are ridiculous on credit cards for most of them. I haven't seen anything less than 15% on the ones that I have, and I have a lot of credit cards. So it's a different play right now. You also have to look at the credit card benefits, and you have to look at the annual fee. But I don't know what your particular situation is, but I would say look at the interest rate, look at your current balances. If you have any high balances, the thing that you're going to want to do is consolidate those. Look at the credit cards that you currently have and start figuring out which of those cards is going to allow you to do a 0% APR transfer balance, let's say for 12 to 18 months. Okay. Once you consolidate all those balances into that one card, you're going to want to pay that off aggressively, because this whole thing only works if you're keeping your balances near zero. I don't use credit cards just to buy shit, right? That's not the purpose for me. For me, I use the credit cards for their benefits and to build my credit for borrowing further down the line in my investments. That's what I use it for. All right. And again, I'm not a financial advisor. This is for edutainment, like CGA says, education and entertainment purposes only. I'm just sharing what's worked for me, and hopefully it works for you. So after you do that, you transfer those balances over, you pay that debt off. Now you're starting from scratch. Look at all those cards, right? If you're not using some of those cards, you could probably cancel them. But you want to try to keep the one that's the oldest from the date of account opening. The reason is that that's one of the considerations for your FICO score, the oldest account. Okay, especially if that account is has no annual fee. Listen, if you're not going to use that card, cut it up, but keep the account open. All right, that's really, really important. All right, number two, figure out what your total borrowing capacity is amongst all those cards. So if you have a $10,000 limit on one, you got a $5,000 limit on another, and another $5,000 limit, 10, 5, and 5, your total borrowing capacity is $20,000. Now, we want to increase that borrowing capacity, right? So, how are you going to do that? Well, if let's say you keep only one of those cards, $10,000 limit, right? You're going to call that company up. Let's say you decide to close the other two cards. Fine. That's going to drop your score initially, right? By closing those accounts, because you're decreasing your total borrowing capacity, right? It sounds kind of like a contradiction, but that's the way they're going to look at it. But let's say you go to that company and you have a $10,000 limit, you're going to go to them and say, I want a credit limit increase, okay? And they're probably going to ask you for what your annual income is. Now, if you haven't updated that in a while, you should keep up with that, because if you get raises every year, that's only going to be able to increase your ability to get a higher credit line, which is going to help you. All right. So let's say that they're like, all right, usually right off the bat, they'll say, okay, we'll increase you $5,000 or whatever. But they may ask for your income, so be prepared to do that. You can actually do that in the app, whatever card you have, and you can do that. You can actually apply for the credit line increase in the app as well. I think most of them do it that way. Okay, so you're going to increase that. So now you got one card and you increase that. Now the next thing is, and I'm not going to go into which cards I think are the best cards right now. I think that's a totally separate video. And to be quite honest with you, there are a lot of guys online that post videos like that about all the credit cards. I mean, I have my favorites. I have lots of credit cards, but I know how to use them. And so what I would say is start with cards according to the lifestyle perks that you're going to take the most advantage of. So for instance, if you travel a lot, I would look up, go online, check out best, top 3 travel cards. Okay. If you go out to eat a lot, I would look up, top 3 cards for dining. All right. And now just keep in mind that those top tier cards are going to come with a higher price tag. And that higher price tag is going to be in the form of an annual fee. However, once you get savvy with this and you know how to take advantage of those benefits, then the benefits, if you're using most, if not all of those benefits, they're going to exceed whatever that annual fee is. So you're actually going to make money on the card. And not only that, but especially with the travel cards, for instance, you're going to get status, which is fantastic, because you're going to get room upgrades, car upgrades. You're going to get all kinds of perks, right? So let's break that down and see what this translates to. So this is how I did it. And I had at one point, I think I had one card, and before I figured all this out, I was always that dude who was like, all right, yeah, I'm only gonna have one credit card. I was always disciplined with my spending and stuff for the most part. But I was like, well, I'm only gonna have one card, and I'm gonna keep the credit line really, really low, because I was always worried about the fraud aspect. But to be honest with you now, these credit card companies are so savvy with it that if you get a fraud alert on your card, usually they're going to squash it right away. They're going to send you a message and they're going to square it away, and you're not going to be responsible for that charge anyway. So that thinking that I had is way outdated. All right. So what I did was I looked at it and I said, well, how much, do I want my borrowing capacity to be? And I decided right off the bat, I said, well, if I'm going to be an investor, I want my borrowing capacity to be over 100K. Okay. So then I started looking at it and I says, all right, well, I have this one card. I got that card up to the maximum credit line increase that they would give me at the time. That card doesn't even exist anymore. I ended up rolling that card into a cashback card. And but the beauty of that is, let's say they discontinue a card, or let's say that the card that you have, um, they start imposing an annual fee. You can downgrade the card. Well, technically downgrade the card, but for me it wasn't a downgrade at all. I actually think I got a better card that didn't have an annual fee, and the benefit of that was, um, I kept that credit history. Right, the credit history is one of the most important things that they're going to look at on your credit report. All right, so they're going to look at that oldest account. So that was the benefit of that. So I would say that, let's say you have a card and it has an annual fee and you don't want to do the annual fee anymore, for whatever reason, maybe you're just not using that card. Ask them to roll you over into a card with similar benefits that doesn't have an annual fee, and then you get to keep that credit history, which is gold. Right, that's what you want. So getting back to it, I said, all right, well, I want to have $100,000 plus credit limit. So what I started doing was I figured out the cards that I wanted that fit my lifestyle, and then I made sure that I pushed for a credit limit over 20K. Now, why does that benefit you? Okay, if you're somebody like me that I really don't keep a lot on cards, I don't really even shop much. I mean, it's just not who I am. Um, but if I did need to make a larger purchase, whether it's for travel or what have you, let's say it was a $5,000 purchase, right? Um, if you have $100,000 limit, I mean, you're not even using 10% of your maximum credit, which is great because you're not going to get dinged for that. Whereas if you had one card with a $10,000 limit and you put a $5,000 purchase on there, now you're using 50% of your credit limit. You see how that works? You have one card, $10,000 limit, you put 5 grand on there, you're using 50% versus if you had 5 cards at 20K each, you're using only 5% of your maximum credit, which is the advantage. And that's the game right there. That's part of the game. The other part of the game is the points and the perks and travel benefits and what have you. Right. But that's a whole nother video. So what's the point of all this? All right. The point of all this is that it's an easy way for you to build your credit so that, let's say you want to go into real estate investing. Now you have that history, and now you have that higher credit score, which increases the odds that you're going to be getting the best possible interest rate. And that's what the whole game is. It's leverage. It's not necessarily, now there's a lot of guys on YouTube that are saying, all right, have a lot of money in the bank and everything. I'm not saying that's bad. I think it's good to have that cash available so you're ready to jump on a deal whenever that may come about. But I say that it's not necessarily the amount of cash that you have on hand, but the amount of capital that is available to you, the amount of capital that you can get. Credit leverage, when applied correctly, is how you build wealth. I hope that was valuable to you. If it was, please comment. And as always, be well.